We are now at the point where coffee producers for many months now have been saying, I sent all of my coffee to the commercial market. And if they're sending all of their coffee to the commercial market and they're getting paid right away and they're able to clear out debt, this is creating a new mindset for coffee producers into the future. What coffee producers are saying is that if the coffee price stays high compared to historic levels, we can try and figure out other revenue streams that can help us adapt, that mean that if we pick the coffee and sell it to the commercial market and we establish a roastery and create a local economy here at Origin, maybe we don't have to create specialty coffee on our farms. Mappa Forward is bringing a new perspective to the Japanese coffee industry with Mappa Forward Japan. Every 2 weeks, we're highlighting a selected series from the Daily Coffee Pro by Mappa Forward, translated and available in Japanese on our YouTube channel. Follow along on our new Instagram account, Mappa Forward Japan, where we'll share industry commentary, episode clips, and market updates all in Japanese. And if you're in the Japanese coffee industry, join our mailing list for updates and exclusive content also in Japanese. All the details are at mappaforward.coffee/Japan, and we'd love you to share this information with your Japanese friends in the coffee industry. Check the show notes for details. Welcome to the Daily Coffee Pro by Mappa Forward, friends. I'm your host, Lee Safar, and this is episode 4 of a 5-part series with just me. This is the second time this year that we have done this, and we are doing a solo series so that you can benefit from the kind of advice that I'm giving my clients about what's happening with regards to the coffee crisis. This has been an incredibly volatile year for coffee, and it doesn't look like things are getting any easier. What we are starting to see is the acceleration of this volatility, and we are starting to see that the consequences of that volatility are starting to show up across the entire supply chain. So in this series, we're talking about what's going on in coffee, in particular reference to the coffee crisis. And in this episode, we're talking about the supply chain. So as we explore the supply chain of everything that's going on, basically, I want to talk about the supply of coffee. I want to talk about the relationships in coffee. I want to talk about all of that side of things. But as we look at the supply chain, we want to figure out what is happening right now. What is happening with regards to who's getting access to coffee, who's not getting access to coffee, when are they going to get access to coffee? Is that going to change? And as we enter what I called in the last episode, a darker phase of this coffee crisis because of the consolidation that's going to happen, what are going to be the elements that will be a defining factor for different business owners? So what we are starting to see in the supply chain is some reorganization. And that's happening because of a lot of reasons. In my opinion, the number one reason we are seeing this reorganization is not pricing. A lot of people really have this opinion that price is what's dominating decisions right now. I think that price was dominating decisions in the first half of this year. I think what's dominating decisions right now is geopolitics and in particular, commerce and economics. So basically, what I mean by that is that tariffs in particular are dominating the decisions behind where people are selling to, where people are buying from, how much they're buying, and when they're buying it. So for those who don't know, when Donald Trump came into office, he said that there were going to be a lot of deals that were going to be done that would, make America great again. And they were these tariffs in particular were a move that he was using, or a tool that he was using to make trade more balanced between countries. Brazil was a particular target for Trump, and it wasn't from a trade perspective that that Trump really whopped these massive tariffs on Brazil. So China, India, and Brazil really received huge tariffs. So China, will put that aside for a moment. It's still relevant to our industry because of packaging, et cetera, but we're just going to put that aside for a second. And let's look at Brazil. So Trump said to the current president, we're going to put 50% tariffs. The president of Brazil is President Lula, and he is a left-leaning president. And there is some, let's say, some troubles that the previous president was having, Jair Bolsonaro. He's a right-leaning president. Trump had said to Lula that unless he kind of wipes out these challenges that Bolsonaro is having, these legal challenges, these 50% tariffs are going to stick. So Lula, they were basically playing a game of chicken, and Lula did not budge. And so they took some of the things off the list that these tariffs were going to be applied to. Coffee did not get taken off the list. Many people thought that coffee for sure was going to get taken off the list of tariffs across the board into the United States, but that did not happen. And despite companies claiming that they were lobbying the Trump administration to have coffee taken off the list, that did not eventuate. And to now, as we are recording this, August 27th, those tariffs are still in place. And so as those tariffs are in place for Brazil, it's important for us to understand what that really means. Now, Brazil is the number one producer of coffee in the world, Arabica. Vietnam is the second largest producer of coffee in the world for Robusta. So that their main coffee that they produce is Robusta. The third largest producer of coffee in the world is Colombia. It's been a long day, folks. But yes, it's Colombia. So Brazil has 50% tariffs. Vietnam has 19% tariffs. Colombia has 10% tariffs. And Indonesia, the fourth largest producer in the world, has 20% tariffs. As you can imagine, with America being the number one consumer of coffee in the world, they are buying coffee from all of these countries. What we have seen over the last couple of weeks in particular, as different businesses in the United States run out of green coffee, they are having to reorganize their contracts. So they are cancelling their contracts with Brazil, and they are looking to countries like Colombia, who have lower tariffs, to purchase their coffee from. So what's going on right now is that people are reorganizing their buying habits based on the politics that are in play here. And so because of all of this, we are seeing a reorganization of what's going on. As well as this, what we're starting to see is coffee producers are taking different decisions with regards to the supply of coffee. What do I mean by that? As the price of coffee goes up, coffee producers are having to make decisions about, do I create specialty coffee or do I just sell my coffee to the commercial market? This is creating a shift in the kind of coffee that's being supplied to the market. So the middle of the market, which let's call that specialty, right? Because the specialty market is really the small business owners, and they are occupying the middle of the market. The bottom end of the market is all the commercial businesses. The super high end of the market is the hyper specialty market. The middle of the market, which is the coffees that are sort of around 80 to, let's say, 85, 86. Those are the coffees that are getting removed from the market. So let's say not even 80. 80s are still there. An 82 to an 85, 86, with labor shortages the way that they are, we are now at the point where coffee producers for many months now have been saying, I sent all of my coffee to the commercial market. And if they're sending all of their coffee to the commercial market and they're getting paid right away and they're able to clear out debt, this is creating a new mindset for coffee producers into the future. What coffee producers are saying is that if the coffee price stays high compared to historic levels, we can try and figure out other revenue streams that can help us adapt, that mean that if we pick the coffee and sell it to the commercial market and we establish a roastery and create a local economy here at Origin, maybe we don't have to create specialty coffee on our farms. And that is not just something that's happening for some producers. That is a repeated story we are hearing from many, many, many producers. We're hearing that from co-ops as well. There have been a lot of co-ops that went out of business so far this year. We are hearing that co-ops cannot afford to purchase the coffee at the price that's on the C market. They can't front the cash. And so what's happening is, or the farmers are not delivering the coffee to the co-ops, they are going directly to the commercial market and they're selling it to those markets. And so what we are starting to see is that coffee producers are shifting who they're supplying their coffee to. This is going to impact the entire industry. So if you are someone who is used to buying specialty grade coffee, you will have already noticed that there is less coffee available. There is less specialty coffee that's available. What does this reorganization mean? It means that, first of all, I want people to know this is not something that's here for till the end of 2025. And we're going to talk about that in the final episode of this series. This is something that's here for at least 2026. And so if this is here for an extended period of time, what this is going to mean is that people are going to be making some very hard decisions about how they communicate to their consumers about what they have access to. As the consumer gets more constrained because of this cost of living crisis that's going on, and because they have to reshuffle the way that they are moving money in their households, they are either going to choose to not pay less, but buy cheaper coffee, or they're going to buy less coffee. This will impact the relationship between the consumer and the brands that they are used to. Now, this is where this situation connects with the previous 2 episodes of consolidation and pricing. So, with regards to the tariffs, bigger corporations have the ability to absorb the tariffs and not pass that on to the consumer. They also have the ability to pay the tariffs because the importing company is the company that pays the tariff, not the producing country, not the exporter. So if you're the importer, you have to front the 50% tariffs from Brazil upfront. Major corporations can afford to do that. Smaller businesses who are at the end of their runway because this coffee crisis has been going on for so long may not survive. On top of that, the major corporations who are seeing these price hikes and are seeing these tariffs can, for a period of time, absorb the cost of these tariffs and not pass that on to the consumer, whereas smaller companies can't do that. So what does this mean long term? Long term, this means we are going to start to see a shakeout. We are going to start to see businesses have to make hard decisions. So we have seen all of this reorganization starting to happen. We have seen consolidation happen. We have seen pricing shifts start to impact the entire supply chain. What comes next? That's all we're going to talk about in the final episode of this series, so join us for that. Peace, love, and peanut butter. Have an amazing rest of your day. This episode is part of a 5-part series produced by Mapper Forward. Check the full playlist and guest details in the show notes, as well as how you can support our work in the coffee industry. Become a premium YouTube subscriber, explore our Patreon and any brands we've partnered with to bring you this podcast. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. It really does help us grow our audience.